prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as. Look at the shields on the mark.
Oh my god, the ball is going to take this.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us again. This is Cats with Jammas.
Pain user here.
And we are back for game number 3 of this best-of-3 set between Complexity, Drewbie spawning as our green tier, and here in the top right-hand corner of Zelnaga Cavern switching colors on me, of course, down here at the bottom left-hand corner, Evil Geniuses IdrA spawning as our blue Zerg.
Why are they always switching colors on you, Cats? It's always you.
Yeah, it is.
It's always you.
Oh, it's actually all casters. You players are just, you do things to make our lives as difficult as possible.
When I was playing, I would do that quite often, although I always stuck with yellow. There's nothing more powerful. I'm telling everyone out there, there's nothing more powerful than a yellow Terran.
The color advantage, much like the positional advantage, you have the color advantage in StarCraft.
But then you got to watch out because other good players start learning the colors that you like, and they'll play this whole mind game during tournaments where they'll join the game first and they'll check your color.
I wish they had an option just to do a random color.
That'd be kind of cool.
It would be kind of cool. Or maybe if it just divvied it up and you had rainbow units. But anyway, so here we go. We are on Zelnaga Cavern's dedicated 1v1 map. Interesting choice. This is Drewbie's pick here for this third game, so maybe has some sort of a prepared build he wants to go into. You know right where your opponent's at. You don't have to scout to find your opponent, so we could see some sort of rush play out of Drewbie. Could be powerful here. I'm curious to see if IdrA drops down a pool or if he decides to open hatch first, though.
I love how everyone's always so curious to see in the beginning of the game.
I am. I don't know.
I am too. It's all I say.
Like,
I'm curious to see.
You
and
see,
then
I know.
myself.
I know you've seen the casters that are like after the first SEV has been built. They're like, clearly they're going for 3-base tank marine, and I've determined it because I am psychic. I try not to play into that too much. So
there's no way that you could determine anything like that from just an SCV count.
yeah.
A lot of times, there's like little sublities that you can infer things from, but most of the time, players will prove me wrong from time to time. I'll go out on a limb, I'll venture out there, I'll make a prediction, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I always love it when it does. It feels so good.
Oh, I know, absolutely.
gratifying.
But it's okay. So whenever I, so I report, I do the play-by-play, I do the reporting, and I sit back as a spectator because I love StarCraft and I love seeing what these guys are up to. And we are in full tournament swing now, so it's not like these guys are hiding builds. This is full on. $50,000 in prizes on the line.
Yeah, everything you're gonna see out of every game is gonna be there 100%, unless it's just some, fluke error where a player, well, even then, even if a player has a build in store that's super cheesy, he's just trying to gimmick out a quick win. I mean, that's also totally viable for tournament builds that are effective, that work. It just depends on how much they've practiced it, who they've been practicing it with, but so far I haven't seen anything like that yet out of the tournament, but
no, not yet.
We may indeed. We never know.
And let's see here. Drewbie is actually opening up with this is kind of interesting. He's opening up with Command Center, 1 Rax Fast Expands, and he's actually putting it down at his natural. So he is going to try and defend this large, wide open area with this bunker sitting next to the Vespian Geyser.
Yeah, Drewbie, one of those players that is not afraid to just expand directly onto the low ground. Sometimes I don't know how I feel about it. He does it so frequently that if I ever played Drewbie and I was a Zerg player, you could just build those initial, 6 to 8 Zerglings, maybe 6 is the sweet spot, and just send them in without speed right to Drewbie's base. You could probably get them there before the bunker eventually goes up and just do quite a bit of damage. I mean, really, Drewbie relies on a few Marines in the early on portions of the game, and that's really all he's got going for him, and that's how he defends that low ground natural. And I feel like any sort of a Baneling bust, any sort of aggressive Roachling Baneling push early on in the game, I mean, I think there's a number of all-ins or pseudo all-ins that would just do so well against this type of style from Drewbie.
Yeah, because Drewbie now going to double factory, so he is going to, when you talk about a bare minimum defense, I mean, he has these 6 Marines, and that is it.
Yeah,
he's building an add-on on his barracks, he's building an add-on on one factory, he's about to switch another factory over, so it's going to be a good, another 50 or 60 seconds before he even has another unit on the ground.
Yeah, and he actually does this a lot. It's pretty strange. I'm surprised players haven't adopted or adapted. I was going to say adopted that style, but adapted to that style, the way that he plays. You know, send a few extra units in there early, perhaps. Do some sort of an all-in. And wow, going immediately with tanks and Hellions here, so it looks like we are going to try and see a mech timing push out of Drewbie here. Is he going to continue to add Marines? No, it looks like he is just going with this.
I want to take a look.
Tech lab on that.
I want to take a look at his vision because this was an interesting transition. I didn't mean to try and interrupt you before, but
no.
What I was going to say was that he had Blue Flame going for about 2 seconds, canceled it and went right. He was actually building his third Hellion at a time as well, and then canceled it and went right into tanks. I want to take a look at his vision and see if he. No, he didn't scan or anything like that, so he's not clued into any. Oh well, there's the scan actually. So he's not clued into any tech still. I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, no Blue Flame yet. Interesting. I'm surprised that he doesn't want to use Blue Flame to make some form of an offensive maneuver here.
Yeah.
Try and get some damage done on the opposite side of the map. But as is, he's taking a very defensive posture. He seems to be worried about some type of an all-in here, some type of an aggressive play from IdrA. IdrA now setting up his Zerglings in an arc around the base of Drewbie. Drewbie going to be able to sneak in there with one Hellion, and let's see what kind of scouting information he can get. This Hellion is certainly doomed, but what can he see? We do see the Roach Warren and the Baneling Nest, so he is slightly aware of what IdrA is up to. He doesn't know full well, but we do have Banelings morphing outside of Drewbie's base, and it looks like IdrA is going to go with some form of an all-in here. We have speedless Roaches following in. Roach speed is about to finish. Baneling speed is about to finish at the exact same time. What a well-timed out build, and I think this might be able to do a little bit of damage, although Drewbie does have quite a few tanks.
And he has those tanks on the high ground. They're positioned so well. Oh, and these Hellions are doing so much damage to the Zerglings. They weren't even able to kill one tank, and this tank is going to be able to do whatever it can at will. Look at these full barracks as well, chasing off the rest of those Roaches, and that attack was destroyed. But
yeah, so much for that.
Yes, but IdrA, he's following this up with a bunch more units. He is going to continue to drone up. Now, I'm curious to see how he follows this up because that certainly didn't work.
No, it did not work. He didn't trade cost efficiently there at all. But keep in mind, he has put Drewbie in a defensive posture, and he's looking to grab the gold right here and right now. Drewbie, however, moving out at the exact same time, doesn't quite have stim. It's almost here. It will be done in maybe 10%, 15%. Mostly Hellions, tanks, and a couple of Marauders right now. This is just such an odd timing push from Drewbie. Not really the best synergy of units, I would say. Just a small ragtag group of each unit type, and he is not going to commit to that. He's going to pull out of there and head back to the third.
It was so weird. He's going to take down the gold rocks now. Yeah, I mean, at first it was like, wow, I just killed all those units. I guess I should push up. I don't know if I really want to or not, though. So he was kind of sitting in the middle, dancing back and forth, and just allowing IdrA to go ahead and collect a lot of units. Oh, and IdRA's going to make his way in. These tanks are unsieged. The Banelings are going to roll in, and they waste themselves on the tanks, but these Roaches are going to be able to clean the rest of those units up with ease, and all of a sudden the tables have turned once again, and IdrA has a huge force, and Drewbie's was just annihilated because he was completely building infrastructure in all these barracks and this command center.
Yeah, well, not only that, I think it boils down to the fact even more that he just got caught out in the middle of the field, unsieged. Had his tanks been sieged and ready, and oh god, these SCVs tanking to the best of their ability, being the best linebackers that they can be. They do have medevacs healing them right now. They're just trying to block and screen and prevent those Zerg units from getting up into the main and camping the production facilities, but it is dire straits right now.
Yes, so all of a sudden we saw Drewbie carried a pretty good advantage when he initially killed that force, but like you said, he assumed a defensive position and then was caught completely off guard, and now look at this. IdrA, he already has his gold up, he's going to a fourth, and he has a macro hatch coming up at the same time, so his production is going to be going nuts, and he denied the base coming out of Drewbie as well, so Drewbie stuck to 2 bases for quite a while. He's making a nice little choke point right through here if he wants to receive another attack, but with IdrA going up to those very, very mobile mutas, it's going to be pretty dicey for Drewbie just to sit back on this defensive position.
Certainly. I mean, he will be able to hold off some sort of an attack, but he's the one that really needs to be going on the offensive right now. He can't afford to just turtle away and play it safe, play the safe game. He does have a very nice structure or Sim City or, erector set, whatever you want to call it,
Connects.
over at his natural right now. He has that completely walled off with an engineering bay and those 3 Raxes. He did have 2 bunkers there, a bunch of siege tanks, and now he's going to be heavily reliant on this drop to do some damage here. This could be what Drewbie needs to get back into this, and oh my god, what a quick reaction time there out of IdrA, instantly realizing that those units were on the mini-map and pulling Zerglings accordingly. He is going to shut down that drop 100%.
Yep, and he spotted that right away with his Overlord that was sitting there next to Drewbie's gold. And after that, it was just a waiting game. IdrA kept checking and making sure that those units were going to pop up. When they did, he was there. So now Drewbie, he's trying to put up his gold once again. He does have the rocks cleared out, but he doesn't really have any sort of positional advantage. IdrA has complete map control, and now he has these Mutalisks that, even if they don't do much damage to the missile turrets here, could do a lot of damage to these expensive add-ons. Oh, it looks like they're actually going to go after these half-constructed supply depots at first.
Yeah, grabbing those supply depots is actually great for him. He might be able to eventually supply block Drewbie. He will be able to cut off that production time. And now IdrA just looking to pick off some reinforcement tanks here. Gonna try and find his sweet spot, work his way in with those Mutalisks. Although Drewbie does have a very, very, very well spread push here. His tanks are in great position, and he might be able to work his way on this third here.
We'll find out, though, as IdrA's gathering all of his forces up, and I think IdrA's just going to sack his gold here. He's going to allow that to go down to make sure that he has the best positioning possible, not committing to an attack he thinks he might lose. That is complete and utter patience. Now he's going to move up. Oh, God, and a couple of these siege tanks are going to get caught out in the open.
And man, just making such a big deal. Those little things, every little tank counts at this point. Really want to keep your tank count super high. It makes things much more difficult to hold off that giant Baneling ball if you don't have the proper number of siege tanks to just start taking them out in droves. And I don't know if he has enough right now.
And it looks like, IdrA's going to be chased off by the 4 missile turret wall sitting there for Drewbie. But no, I mean, Drewbie, he's got a decent-sized force sitting there, but IdrA's production is so good right now, and he's gearing up for this big flank two-pronged attack, going to make its way up. Here he comes. All of these tanks are unsieged. All the Banelings are going to make their way in. Actually, Drewbie is going to be able to neutralize most of the Banelings, and this planetary fortress may pop up right in time. The Marines trying to do their damage, and it looks like IdrA is going to be forced away.
I mean, still, nonetheless, that was some beautiful work right there.
Yeah.
I think that he was able to kill so many units, and it was so cost effective for IdrA because he can afford to replenish that army for just about dirt cheap. He has so much income right now, and oh god, wiping just about all the SCVs at the natural right there. 3 or 4 mules going down, a bunch of SCVs on top of that, and it looks like we are getting desperate here. Drewbie is moving out with the majority of his forces. I don't know if he can win the game right now, and this is a risky maneuver.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to win the game now. Otherwise, if this force even gets countered a little bit with the amount of damage that these Mutalisks are doing, they're just engaging these Marines heads up. This gold is going to go down for Drewbie. At the same time, he is going to take out this base down at the bottom right, but we are going to need to see these units countered eventually. IdrA is making his way in. He's going to trap these forces in just a bit. And he's going to start pulling away, but he has effectively denied the gold. So here we go. IdrA getting ready. He's going to make his way in. The tanks have sieged themselves up. The Banelings are rolling in. Here come the Mutalisks as well, and the rest of those units are going to go down. Oh, God. Drewbie has his whole force cleaned up.
Ack
Yep.
is the best word I could use to describe that. What a beautiful flank from IdrA right there. Just lulling Drewbie into this false sense of security. Drewbie feeling he may have had the upper hand there, pushed in, tried to go for the gold. And keep in mind when they did trade expansions, and here we have a final engagement of pure Roaches and Mutas. The Roaches just working their way in, killing everything, and GG is called. Drewbie has left the game, and IdrA is going to take that series 2-1. He will be moving on to winner's bracket round 2, and what an impressive victory for IdrA, just looking so sharp right there.
And what an impressive comeback as well. Especially, I mean, you've got to think that first game had to have been frustrating. He doesn't catch the third base going up for so long, and then he has a poor engagement where he waited on his Mutas for so long they were sitting above his main. So he's probably frustrated after that, but a brilliant comeback there. And,
yeah.
Wow.
Definitely a brilliant comeback, and I think The fact of the matter is that IdrA continued to keep those Mutalisks alive. He hardly lost any throughout the entire game. He didn't do too much damage with them, but at the same time, he was forcing troop movement. He was taxing Drewbie's multitask ability by, continually reappearing in different locations on the map with the Mutalisks, and was able to retain map control with that. Took the third and the fourth at the same time, and then whenever you trade a newly built mineral base with not so much saturation as a Zerg player for an almost fully saturated gold that the Terran is 100% relying on at this stage in the game, that's a huge trade-off.
Yeah, it was funny because before IdrA actually did a huge amount of damage to the gold with the mutas, he wasn't doing a lot of damage per se. He was just keeping Drewbie pinned to one spot. He wasn't killing a lot of SCVs, he wasn't killing a lot of structures, but he was pinning his opponent to one base as he was expanding across the map. And like you said, as soon as Drewbie got his army out of position, bam, the gold was just done for.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Mutalisks, and that's the beauty of the way IdrA uses them. So anyway, IdrA will be moving on, so congratulations to him. Drewbie will live to fight again another day, so best of luck to him in the losers bracket. And if you guys enjoyed those games, make sure to check out more at ign.com/IPL, and be sure and check out our social media at Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, justintv.com/IGN Pro League. Please be sure and follow on our Justin TV. We truly appreciate it. And myself and Cat's Pajamas truly appreciate you guys listening to our cast. We hope you love it. And if you want to catch more, feel free to check me out at twitter.com/PaintUser.
And you can find me at twitter.com/CatsPajamasSC2. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast. Stay tuned. We've got some more IPL Season 2 action coming right up.